Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this YouTube video. Eventually you will see this video out on YouTube. I'm going to be giving a talk on why you should use video within your business today. Initially I was thinking how to start this, and because there's a lot of things that we're going to cover today that are going to be quite generic, but they can be used for a HR context specifically. But the first thing that we've really found when it comes to talking about video or doing video with anyone is it's really overwhelming, right? Like there's this massive concept, whether it's technical or whether it's hurdle psychologically to actually get over the need to do it and want. So I wanted to sort of, as we were talking a little bit about the psychology as well, I wanted to start with that because I think it's really important to establish why you're doing it as well. I mean, especially in the HR field, which is relevant to the room, I think it's very important because you work for people and with people a lot that you understand why and how video can help that. So I'll get into it really quickly. I mean, people buy from people. And the best way to connect with someone outside of physically meeting them, as we found through the pandemic especially, is through video. So it doesn't always have to be professionally shot like this. It doesn't always, as long as it sounds all right. And in most cases, people will have, headphones and etc., which have built-in mics, or your phone, which will have built-in mics that are designed to have phone calls with, right? So a lot of them are going to, remove those technical barriers, and a lot of hopefully what you'll take from this talk today is going to be about removing those technical hurdles from that. But firstly, I think it's about building up the confidence to be able to do video in general, right? Because it is very intimidating, and I think. And I was really thinking a lot about how we were going to talk about the psychology part of this talk for a long time, because for everyone it's very different. But I think initially it's firstly establishing who do you want to talk to, and then secondly, how would you talk to them if it wasn't through a video? So if you were going to meet them for a coffee, or you were, just going to have a video call with them specifically, and I think it's luckily through the pandemic, we've had quite a passive level of interest because of Zoom and Teams and other such technologies. We've kind of been introduced to the concept of video without knowing it. So you're actually probably going to be a lot more confident than you really think you would be or could be. And the only difference when you're recording the piece of content is there's no one on the other side, right? So how you need to think about a camera lens, whether it's this kind of camera or a phone lens, is that's a gateway for you to talk and get that information out to the people who you want to connect with, right? And I think it's so important, and I'll get into some technical bits to really help you, but these platforms deliberately who really want to push video are trying to make it as easy as humanly possible when it comes to creating video and etc., right? And you may look at someone like me and say, okay, well, it's all very well for you to say, Colton, because you've got all this technology, you've got all this kind of kit, but I didn't always have this kit, and that's what I think people need to understand. I started creating videos with a webcam. I also create them on my phone. I still use my phone today to create certain parts of videos and certain things that are more appropriate to shoot on a phone, or is easier to shoot on a phone, depending, because if I'm using my equipment and I need a behind the scenes shot, for example, then I'll use my phone, because I don't have spare equipment to be able to just film me being filmed. And it's then about being in the position where you can use the tools you have. And I think that's why the psychology really comes back to it. So, I mean, my question would be, would you have a conversation with someone who you don't know? And would you try and, build that rapport with them in a networking event, in a time where you potentially could actually help them, right? And this kind of goes back to marketing 101 eventually, which is every conversation you really have, whether that's through a video or in person, or you run into someone, is a form of marketing. It gives you the opportunity to be able to say, hey, this is who I help, this is why you should choose me, and you can start building that relationship. And that's why I think video is so powerful. Now, specifically, why is video so powerful? Because it allows you to take that sales pitch, and it allows you to film it once. So I could film a sales pitch now, and then I could send that video to potential clients or potential people who might want to be interested in working with me, outside of also putting it on social media and such and more, and I'll get into that a little bit in a moment. But I think a lot of it is about saving your time as well, because as I'm sure some of you have scaling businesses, and one of the main issues that come with a scaling business is the fact that your time becomes increasingly valuable, right? So why should you record a video? Well, that pitch could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes long, and then you can cut it down to say maybe 10 minutes, or you can polish it a little bit more, or you can add in the slides where relevant over the top, etc. And then you can use it as a resource that you've got then. You don't have to then suddenly trade time to not do this perfect presentation every time you have a sales opportunity. Now, you might choose to, right? But you don't have the option to have the option A to send a video, so to that potential client. You always have to have a call with them. Because there's some clients, especially, you can't do a lot of nurturing, you can't, go into a little bit more depth if you're not connected with the person physically in the respect to having a call. But what happens with video is once you post that video out and someone's consumed it, then the entire call becomes about, when you actually get to the point of having a call with that potential client, it's then about how can you help them? Because they don't need to be introduced to you as a person, right? Most of the one-to-ones and most of the conversations I have, we don't talk about me. Why do we not talk about me? Because they've already done some level of research, or they've come through my content awareness funnel, which is basically me putting out a load of content on social media that shows what I know what I'm talking about and gives a bit of context and a bit of background on how and why I do what I do. And then we can talk about the nuts and bolts of their business. Then we can talk about, okay, well, how can I help you with video? Okay, well, how can I help you with content creation? And as I say, that's where it can become really valuable. So that's kind of the tangible reason about why it can save you time, and it also allows you to be more personal when you actually have those meetings. But then obviously comes the question of, okay, Colton, I want to create that video, so how? So the simple answer is everyone owns a phone, so start using that. The Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whichever platform, even LinkedIn, they love the organic content and the organic feel, and there's a different feel that you're always going to get when you don't professionally shoot something, because it is going to be rawer, it is going to be truer to you as a personality. And I think it comes back to being really authentic to yourself, because so many people get really worried about doing lives, or they get really worried about being in a position where they do this content. What if I say what if I make a mistake? What if there's a weird pause, right? Some of you might have thought about it with me here today. But the thing is, I'm being authentic to myself. I'm just talking about things that I know and I'm passionate about, and I can talk, in theory, at length to. And the reason why it's being true to myself and being authentic, because when you are, then you can't get anything wrong. And the only person who knows that you're potentially got something wrong is you. Because you're the one who potentially created the script, you're the one who potentially had all the detailed notes that you had. So as long as you don't react in such a way where people can kind of read your body language and read your understanding to know that things that did go wrong, then you didn't go wrong. You just went slightly off script, which is sometimes better, sometimes fine. And that's why having this organic kind of flow is sometimes a lot more powerful when it comes to connecting with people, because at the end of the day, you're going to put a piece of content out online and you want it to connect with another human being. You're not just putting a content out there for the sake of it. You're putting it out there because you want to grow your business. You want to get more interest. You want to get more leads. You want to get more conversations that could lead on to you being hired, right? But how do you do that? People are going to buy from you. So again, that leads back to the point of video is personalized, and it's one of the only powerful tools that we can use to increase our personality without trading time every time. And there's some also powerful benefits from a technical perspective, which I'll go into a little bit, which is video is the only medium which you can take the audio out on its own. So then you've suddenly got a piece of audio content on its own that can go on podcast platforms. You can also then get this video transcribed, so then you've got a piece of written content as well that you can do a lot with. And, we'll get into Q&A as soon as we can, because I think that's where the value is going to be for the room. But initially, that's how you can really take this one piece of content and turn it into multiple pieces. And this is something that we also saw with the rise of TikTok and Instagram, with Instagram Reels specifically, because they were really looking to gain that attention. Because what TikTok did is TikTok took the teen market very quickly. There's still a misconception within professionals and within the business community that TikTok is just for silly dances and other such things, right? Like, which is fine. It's not to an extent. It was when it was Musical.ly, right? So a quick history lesson. Musical.ly was the predecessor for TikTok, then it got bought up by the guys who own TikTok, and then they combined the two. So the origin story of TikTok is, yes, it was silly dances, and yes, it was trends, and yes, it was lip synced and stuff like that. Yes, it was. But nowadays, it's just another platform like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, where you can put out valuable content to your audience because there's been sub-niches that have grown on it. There's filmmaking niches. There'll be a HR niche. I'm not a HR professional, so I wouldn't have that in my algorithm. But I imagine there's people talking about HR. I imagine there's lawyers talking about what they do. But it's still really, really, really early in its life cycle. Now, why is that important? The simple answer is, the reason why, because it's still early in its life cycle, you can have what we call unicorn videos, which basically mean they get hundreds of thousands or 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 or even 1 million views when you have no right to get that kind of viewership, right? Because the organic growth, especially a couple of years ago, was ridiculous because TikTok as a platform wanted people to use the platform, right? The same was true with Facebook in early 2008. The same was true with Instagram in early 2012. The same thing happened, right? They wanted to get people to use the platforms, so they encouraged it by having huge amounts of organic growth being able to build. Now, marketing as a concept is very simple. The more people who know what you do, like what you do, or trust what you do, the more people are going to be actually likely to spend money with you, right? So that's why whenever we do marketing, we're looking for attention, and we're looking for getting the ability to how do I get into someone's psychology so that I can be front of mind when they think video is for us, for example. Or how can I be front of mind, or you can be front of mind for when someone needs something related to HR. Right? Now, I don't know what everyone's like detailed things that they do within HR are here. It doesn't matter. You know what they are. So how are you going to position yourself as that expert in your field? One of the ways is having video content or content out online that allows you to prove the points you're proving, right? And this is where taking this long form piece of video, which I was alluding to a little bit earlier, and cutting it up into smaller chunks that suit TikTok's algorithm or suit Reel algorithm. So to just go really deeply into, or not that as deeply, but in a little bit into the algorithms, how they basically work is Reels are required to be 1 minute long because they go into the Reel feed that's designed to be infinitely scrolling in the same way TikTok is. So anyone who's used TikTok will know you'll suddenly realize that 3 hours have passed, right? Why is that? It's because it's designed to be infinitely scrolling, so you can never get to the end of this infinitely scrolling feed of content. It's another reason why that we have it as portrait orientation. So I can sit here on my phone and swipe and swipe and swipe and swipe and swipe and swipe, and I'll just keep going forever. The same is true with Reels, because all that Reels are is Instagram's stab at trying to take TikTok's market back, because TikTok came along, did something crazy that went mental, and every other platform, YouTube, Google, etc., all of these other big companies went, oh no, we're going to lose our entire market share here if we don't do something with short form video, because TikTok's just proven that it works. So now we're seeing the rise in phone related content, so that's why it's portrait based, but that benefits on how you can film it on your phone, which I'll briefly go over because I know there's going to be quite a lot of you who may want to create some content after this and may not have the technical understanding how to. So simple answer is have a form of microphone as close to your mouth as humanly possible. Why is this microphone as close to my mouth as humanly possible? Because it will sound a lot better, right? I'll give you just a quick example. I'm going to move this microphone further and further away. As you can hear, I sound worse, right? Now, why is that? Because I've set the level in this microphone, which your microphone will do automatically, to be at this volume. So it's the lower I can, because the closer it is, the lower I can have the volume, which in turn means I'm less likely to get a motorcycle that drives past, or less likely to get a fire engine outside, or someone coming past, or etc., right? Those other noises that would be distracting from the content I'm trying to deliver to you. So that's the first point. And the reason why I always start with audio is because you can have a terrible looking video, and as long as the audio is okay, 85% of your audience will continue to watch it. If the audio is bad, like painfully bad, like or etc., you've lost like most of your audience instantly, because it, from a psychological point of view, it's just worse. It's just jarring. Oh no, I don't want to hear that. That sounds horrible. So we'll kind of look past visuals as long as the audio's there. But there's things you can also do with visuals as well, because one of the main things I see in Zoom rooms specifically is the lighting. And, you've got this beautiful window that's amazing, and you're going to put yourself so that the camera's looking out the window. So what actually ends up happening is you become a black shape, and the window becomes a white square. Now, there's some technical reasons around that, which I won't go into, but the simple reason is there's too much light coming through that window for your camera to choose. Your camera has to choose a light level, right? So spin your camera around so you're not shooting out of a window, and shoot like I am right now. So in front of me there is a window, and the light coming in the window is hitting me and illuminating me so that I'm correctly illuminated. So it gives my life, when I'm trying to set the light level of this camera, it gives the camera a lot more of a chance to actually balance it, and it looked, for it to be even. If I went to the side, for example, you would see a slight difference in the change of light. Now, this is very soft light, but because it's window light and etc. And that's why I'd always recommend, if you're going to film content, find a place in your house, your office, etc. that has a window, and do it in the day, and literally just stand by the window and talk to your phone. So really something really common, and I'm conscious that I've been talking a while, so we're going to get on to Q&A in a minute, but the final print I want to leave you with is there's a lot of organic content on social media across all of the platforms that just have Apple AirPods, Bluetooth headphones, or some other form of pretty cheap headphones that have built-in microphones that people just stand by a window and film. And they can get as many or more views than me with all of this. Because at the end of the day, doesn't matter what I film it on, what I film it with in regards to audio. If what I'm saying is rubbish, no one's going to care. So I think that's enough of me talking for once, and I'll open the floor to any Q&A and any questions. Thank you for listening.